I haven't even tuned Coda, the guitar. What's up, y'all? Welcome. Okay, welcome. Here's Coda, the guitar. I'm just gonna play something in open chords. Is that enough or what? You know, man. Ooh, shoot. Let's not actually play much more than that right now. Let's get into this because, yeah, today is the 21st of July, 2026. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Here you are under one of our fourths, In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Welcome. What do we do here? Well, for the past 210 episodes, we've had discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay. Hear me out, man. If you're not religious, because neither am I. And what does that mean? Well, I'm going to discuss some things in this episode, okay? We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, but that just means life. In general, we're all human beings, the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. There's a universal human design, because stemming from the main side, one of the other four sides to In the Image Clothing Company, where our slogan is allowing the body to work, there's this universal human design, designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. Here's your clothing company, okay, to allow the body to work. Clothing is just the literal wording of anything physically placed on us. It has to be intentional. Staying centered, fitting correct, being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. And but we, as In the Image Clothing Company, discuss it thoroughly. The anatomy of the human body, what clothing's doing to it, working around imbalances in clothing, robots stitching our clothing, rotated seams in clothing. But then just living in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth, there's a lot of things that just don't work for our bodies when they just grow by themselves. The bones are only the shape and length that they are. Muscles just connect directly to bones and pull only to move them. The entire body has a neutral position that we stabilize in with opposing musculature. It's just mathematical degrees of hinges, levers, and rotations determined by the shape and length of the bones of the human being. The only way the human body could ever function. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space, abiding by universal laws, physics, gravity, things like this, outside of all of us. Anyway, truth is truth, and the truth is, this is episode 211 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The title is, Don't Get Lost. So my point is, you don't have to be religious for life to be life. We don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. Things are just what they are before you can even know about them. So let's talk about this because I'm going to give a little preface here where no matter what I discuss in this episode, behind me, Evan Strong, any words I speak in this specific episode here of In the Image Clothing Company podcast 211 titled Don't Get Lost, I don't mean to be mean. I'm not saying anything in this to insult people or to be rude or trying to have some kind of view on life that I'm coming at life from and I'm more right than someone else or whatever. But also, we don't know what we don't know, and we just can't be held accountable for what we don't know. And so what we need to do in life is teach. Truth. Things that don't change. Some things don't change. I mean, God himself, the truth, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. All right. God. So here's the thing. Don't get lost. What I'm saying is I'm going to discuss a lot of different ways of how we could talk about being lost as a human being. Wow. And this could be a huge discussion, and it might be here, but then also, there's so much more that we could say on this that I won't say in this, just because there's so much to talk about with this idea of being lost as a human being. Yeah. What is life? Why are we here? Where are we going? Where did we come from? And then also, how do we navigate it without ending up somewhere we didn't want to be? Yikes. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is a big episode. I feel like I need to have a prayer beforehand, and not just personally, but I mean, I feel like we need to I say so many times. That's what I'm saying. It's taking me off guard. after I've started this, how big of a topic this is, because I just felt earlier that I needed to write in my notes, potential in the Image Clothing Company podcast episodes are listed in some notes I have currently, and don't get lost came to my mind, and there's so many things I can discuss with this it's extremely deep, it's extremely personal while being impersonal at the same time, and that's how God is, and that's how the truth is everything applies to all of us the exact same. That is true, but it's not specifically to do with any one of us necessarily. It's just a generalized, this is how it is, even if you don't know about it. So that's what I mean. A lot of the things I'll discuss in this are, things that we can do to get lost in life, and it doesn't matter who you are, and in all the different ways we could get lost too. You could have you know, you could have people on any end of anything doing anything. The best people in life could do the worst behavior, or the worst people in life could do the best behavior, and whatever, if we're trying to label things. But I just want to discuss some things as they are. That's the goal in this episode here about, don't get lost. 211 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. So yeah, I mean, let's start with something that matters. And what I'm saying is, what matters in life? The hard thing about life, if you don't have an understanding of what it really is, that's what I mean, is I don't get to decide what life is. No human being does, but life's what it is before any human being comes to this planet Earth. It's the same Earth. Every generation of human beings that comes to the Earth is the same Earth. You hear people saying it's just life, because no matter who you are, you're just one of the human beings living this life. It's just life. So how do we know what it means to be on some path in life that is one that's not going to cause us to feel like we're lost? Or how do we feel like we're found? Or how do we feel like we're on a course that matters? Man, see, that's what I mean. I didn't even think about it like this. I mean, I kind of did, but I just have so many there's so many ways we can approach this. And we'll do it in a lot of different ways. This will be great. That's what I'm saying, is because no matter who you are, if you think you're lost, or if you think you could get lost, or if you think you need to be found, or maybe you don't think that's a real thing, who's going to find you? Where are you lost to? How are you lost if you're just on the same earth you were born onto? Well, you didn't go anywhere, really. And then also people looking at other people like they're so lost, but how do they get to tell you if you're lost or not? Maybe they don't even know you or anything about you. How do they get to decide you're lost? Or even if they know your situation exactly, how is it their choice what it means to be lost or found when we're individuals as human beings? Sure, we've got a universal human design. Sure, we're on the same earth, but we're all individuals. And so how could someone decide if you're lost or not? Now, how could you not even know you're lost if you actually are? How can we be ignorant to our own existence when we're the ones existing? Now, that's what I mean. There's so much to discuss with this. If we want to get into it on so many different angles, then we can. So let's do some of that here. For sure. Yeah. Those of you in visual plus audio of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, you're seeing my eyes right now. In the Image Clothing Company podcast is also available in audio only form. A couple different ways of checking us out here, what we're doing with this, but this is me just staring into the camera lens right now. Well, really, I'm staring at myself in the little monitor screen right next to the lens. But I'm staring very intently because a lot of people are lost. Not only that, a lot of people feel like they can't do this. They can't just look straight at something and find it, even if it's right in front of their face. I'm serious. And you know this. If you know this, you know it either personally or impersonally. I like that. I said that earlier in this too. That just came out authentically both times. There's a lot of things in life that are both personal and impersonal, but then we can have the separation. Some things in life are very personal and some things are impersonal as far as them applying to us. Yeah, and just how we understand them as human beings. And so, we could have this idea of religion. What is that? What kind of a statement is that anyway? Regardless of trying to ask the question, what is religion? What kind of a statement is that? We could have this idea of religion. Oh, sure. Why do you say it like that? Well, because what if you're not religious? Can somebody only be lost if they're following something that maybe someone else or something else or some higher power has decided? Or what if you don't think or believe there's some higher power out there to decide if you're lost? Or what if you don't care what anyone else thinks? If someone else is trying to tell you you're lost, they're an equal to you, right? We're all human beings. No matter who's better at certain things than you are, you're better than certain things. Than they are. You're better at certain things than other people, and they're better at certain things than you. We've got different strengths and weaknesses in life. We can't really be better than each other. Not really. When you get down to it, it just couldn't happen, even if you're not religious. But who's going to be able to decide if you're lost? Who's going to be able to decide if you need to be found? And if you're lost, what are you lost from? You didn't leave. Like we were saying earlier, you're still on the same earth. Where you didn't go anywhere. How are you lost? Maybe you're actually literally location-wise lost. You're trying to navigate to somewhere. You're walking, you're driving a vehicle or something, and you're just trying to get to somewhere, and you don't remember how to, like the actual directions. But if we're just talking about being lost in life, some people, they say this about other people. Like, man, they just used to be seeming like they knew what they were doing, and now they seem to just be kind of lost, And we could use the literal wording like this, like, man, they've lost it, like someone that goes crazy is like, man, they have lost it. What they lose? Don't get lost, but what does that mean? That's why I titled it like this, Don't Get Lost. Because, well, shoot, what is, who, where, how do I, was I found by something? Do I need to be? How can I ever have been found or in the right location if I can't get lost? And what does it mean to get lost? If maybe you never really knew where you fit into life. That's a good question too. Like, what does it even mean to fit into life? Well, and yeah, there's so many things we can say with this because, let's say nobody or nothing outside of you as an individual human being could ever determine or decide you as being something or someone that has been lost. Let's say there's no way no one can say that. There's no way anybody can tell you that you're lost. Then what? Then how? You never could get lost. And so it's not some kind of like forewarning, like, hey, don't get lost. It's like, I couldn't. I'm just here. I got born, and until I die, it's kind of all just up in the air, right? It's just, we'll take it as it comes and see what happens, because there's a whole earth out there that I could go to or not, all the different locations. And no matter what, maybe I'm not ever lost, or maybe I'm always lost. You never leave your hometown you were born in, let's say, but you feel so lost. And how you could possibly fit into the people around you because you feel so different than them. Or you feel like they've got so many expectations for you, you don't know how to fulfill. And you don't want to. Anyway, I don't want to. I'll tell you that personally, me, Evan Strong, I don't care. You got some expectations for me? Have them all you want. You think I'm so lost? Well, how do you get to decide that? But don't get lost either, because then you don't know where you are. But let's say, not only this one side of things, you'd never leave the location you were born in, or very similar to it, for the rest of your life. What if you're someone that moves to the other side of the earth part of the way through your life, and you're in a completely new place, but you don't feel lost at all? Maybe you felt this longing to go somewhere, and you went there, and it's like, wow, shoot, this is great. You don't feel lost, but you're in some place that you don't know anything about when you first get there. Or let's say you travel a lot, you're going all over different locations on the earth, and we're just talking about physical location right now as one of the ways we could discuss being lost. And every time you travel somewhere you've never been, you don't know the people, you don't know the language, you don't know how it works, how they just structure their societies, and how to get around, and transportation, and exchange of value with things. You don't even know what you're doing, but you don't feel lost. You feel right at home with all this unexpected and spontaneity, fun, and you feel like you're just totally solid. you know I mean, there's all sorts of sides to this where we are individuals, and so some people could seem so lost and they don't feel the slightest bit out of place. And other people might seem like they're exactly where they should be, but they don't even know how they could possibly ever fit in at all. Without maybe like faking everything to try to be like the people they're with or something, right? Shoot. So don't get lost, but even this, are you lost with what I just said? How many things do we discuss that don't really make any sense? Or never will make full sense in life? I mean, that's the point too. Well, don't get lost, I guess. Now, the thing is, in religion, we could talk about that if you want to try to be religious. Now, hear me correct, but seriously, because truth is truth. I don't get to decide it. But I'll say this. Yeah, I mean, I'll make it clear on what I mean with that. But listen to this first. There's a lot of religious ideas of if you're not doing this practice of this ritual of this ordinance and this habitual daily or weekly, monthly, yearly, semi-annual routine or whatever, you're lost and you need to come back and do it again. You can't go off and do whatever you want. You've lost who you were. You're lost from your values. You're lost from your beliefs. You're lost from your culture. You're lost from your religion. You're lost from your country. People back home are saying when you move away. What does it mean? What if maybe you weren't supposed to stay there? You were born there, maybe you were supposed to move somewhere else and plant roots there. You're not lost, you went somewhere where you were found. But maybe you never thought about this idea of potentially being lost or found, and you just did what you did in life. That's what I'm saying is, where do we fit into this? Because we're all human beings. So who's really deciding? Right? Can I sit on that for a little bit there? Who's ever going to be able to decide? Because what if you aren't even the one that gets to decide that? A lot of times we look back at certain moments or parts and points in our lives, chapters, if you will, in our lives, seasons. Nothing changes when the seasons do. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast here. We look back at certain times in our lives sometimes, and we realize that we were doing things that we had no idea weren't right for us. And not, let's say no one's deciding that, but we know it personally. You're looking back at certain times in your life, you're like, man, I was so just, we can word it like far off or so confused or so misunderstanding of what I should have been doing. Or we could just say it like this, man, I was so lost. Or maybe in the moment you didn't even know. You're just living your life and things don't seem weird. Things don't seem different. You don't feel like you're doing something wrong or like you're confused on life or don't know what's really the right thing to do. For you personally, let's say it like that to be clear, like authentically, you, right? Yeah, like you just don't realize that you weren't doing things authentic to you. But you're looking back at that time now, that time's gone by, and you're like, who was that? You're looking at your past self like, oh my goodness, how did I get so far off? How did I get so lost? And then how did I not even realize it? I mean, there's so many different ways we can be lost in life. Oh, what does that mean though? What are you lost from? How can you be lost unless there's someplace you're supposed to be and you're not there? But if you don't even know where you're supposed to be, who's going to be the one to tell you? Or if you feel like maybe you're supposed to figure out where you're supposed to be, how are you supposed to find out? What does it mean to be lost? How can you possibly be lost if you don't know what it could mean to be found? Holy. Is it philosophy? Is it religion? Is it science? Is it truth? Is it beliefs? Are all these things the same? Are some of them just about the same thing, but completely opposing some of the other ones? What's going on? And how can all this be on the same earth when I didn't leave? I was born on the same rock. We can call it a planet. It's just a big rock, really, in space, Earth. Gravity's got the same effect on our clothing than it has on our bodies, right? I mean, in the Image Clothing Company's main side, we talk about the gravity of the planet Earth a lot and its effect on our bodies and what we choose to literally clothe them with to allow the body to work, fulfilling our slogan under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, allowing the body to work, right? We're only a clothing company for the sake of the human body, really, and its natural function. Natural being the only way it can. Well, what's the only way that you can be found? And is there only one way you could be lost? Who's going to tell you? Who's going to decide it for you? How are you going to decide if you don't even know what's going on? You don't even know you're lost in those times that you now look back on and you're like, shoot, man, I don't know if I could have been more lost. I mean, what does it mean? What does it mean? I can sit here and I can tell you, hey, don't get lost. But maybe ending up somewhere that you were not expecting at all, you could say you got lost on the way to where you thought you were going, but you found the exact location you were actually supposed to be in the whole time. How does that work? What's that about? I mean, who's got an answer to that? Because if you don't, who does? I mean, somebody did it. It seems like sometimes, right? I mean, even if you're not religious, you just find yourself in situations that it seems like they couldn't have possibly worked out better. Or, can we flip the script? You think you know exactly what you're doing and exactly where you're going and how to do it. And all of a sudden, out of basically nowhere, it seems, you're entirely lost on what's even happening. But it kind of seems like there's no other option in the time. So who's doing it? Who's in charge? How do you know? How are you going to be in control of it if you're not? And how is anyone else going to ever possibly have the correct answer for you when they're not you? And even if they've got more experience doing the thing that you're doing, I mean, what means they did it right and took the right course and they didn't get lost throughout it? Like, how do we know? What does this mean? How do we ever not get lost? Don't get lost. Episode 211 of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast. Well, how could you not get lost if you don't know what it means to be found? I mean, what if you grew up in a place where you just never felt like anybody wanted you around? I know that. I know that personally. Or we can say, like, the majority of everybody doesn't want you around. Well, are you lost? Are you somewhere wrong? How are you going to find a place where you feel good? How are you going to be found in a place that you're supposed to be if you don't know where that is? Just a bunch of trial and error? You're just going to go through life with like thousands of different tries. Go try everything until something might feel okay. Until you're lost as to why you chose that thing after some time when it doesn't feel so right anymore, maybe, hypothetically, if. I mean, this is what I'm saying. How would we ever know we could be found if we don't know what it means to be lost? But how are we ever going to be aware if not only we could get lost, but how are we ever going to be aware that we are lost? If we don't have any kind of intellectual understanding of how we could ever possibly claim we have been found. Or that we're just somewhere where we're supposed to be anyway, and there's no way we could get lost? What if everything happens for a perfect reason and you could never be anywhere you shouldn't? Well, then maybe you're not lost, but maybe other people know you better than you know you. I mean, no matter how self-aware we are, sometimes other people know us better than we do. Someone will sit you down and have a conversation with you and tell you exactly what you know and you didn't know you knew it. Oh, shoot. How lost were you? What were you lost from? Who you really were, but do you get to decide? I mean, what is going on with this idea of how do we not get lost? I mean, don't get lost? Well, great. Do you have the map? Yeah, someone tells you to not get lost, and what do you expect them to maybe give you a GPS? What's that abbreviation? Geographical positioning sensor? Something like that, right? I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but that's what it is. It's something that tells you where you are, on the earth. Anyway, I don't know what that acronym is exactly, but that's what it is. That's what it does. I mean, the point is you need a compass, you need a map, you need a bullet point list of step-by-step instructions on how to follow the path to what? Success, happiness, greatness, legacy. What are you trying to get to, and how do you not get lost along the way? How loud am I yelling? Right. I get it. I'm just pretty close to the mic is why I say that. I'm yelling pretty loud about this. I'm going to start screaming. I'm going to start cussing and swearing and cursing and searching for the right way to speak. And then someone tells me that I was so lost speaking like that. Well, how do I know when I found the right way to speak? How do you know what it means to not get lost if you don't know if you could ever be found? What does it mean to be found if you don't even think you were lost in the beginning? And are you not lost in the beginning, but it happens along the way? Who's going to teach us how to get there? But where are you going? Because that's the thing. We've all got different trajectories and ways in life. Somebody wants money. Somebody's a businessman, and they want a whole bunch of money. They're a billionaire by the time they're 40, if it happens. As long as they don't get lost along the way. Someone else doesn't really care. They're like, yeah, if I've got enough money to get all the things I need and just, have a pretty comfortable life in ways, at least financially comfortable, where they're not always constantly worrying about money, then I'm fine. Yeah, sure. All right, so we've got different goals in life. We're individuals. So what does it mean to get lost? And we could say that about any kind of aspect of life, like physically, tangibly, this worldly existence as a human being, this body of flesh and bone and blood on this physical planet Earth that it grew from. We're only what we eat. No opinion to it. The Earth becomes the human being. The human being dies and grows. It dies. The human being dies. We all die, and then we decompose back into the planet Earth. I almost just passed out. That's how I feel. This is huge. Everyone is either lost or they're not. But who's to say? Because I'll tell you this, and I will tell you this, do not believe me, first off. I say that often, because truth is truth regardless. If I get to decide anything, then I'll tell everyone they're lost if they're not doing exactly what I think they should do. But I don't get to decide, because I'm one of those people that somebody else could tell me that I had to do a certain thing, and they don't get to decide. We're individuals. We're equal human beings, even when it's hard to see. But I'm going to say this. Coupled with don't believe me. Man, where was I going with that? Because that's amazing. Oh yeah, a lot of people in my life have told me I was so lost. When I could have never felt better at that time. More authentic, more rooted in who I was, and more, we could literally say, found. But other people had their perceptions, their ideas, their beliefs, their expectations on what it would mean for me to be found. But they don't get to decide it. Just like somebody who doesn't really care about money, if we're going back to that, just one thing in life, money, currency, monetary value. Someone who doesn't really care so much about money could tell somebody who's just seeking to be a billion, trillionaire, somebody who's extremely rich. They could tell them that they're just lost. You're just lost in life. You're just focusing on the wrong things. Don't focus on money. And there you go. Then you'll find yourself again, right? But the person who loves money so much could tell somebody who doesn't really care so much about having any more money than they just really need in life to do what they need to and live just, a fairly comfortable life through finances. They could say, you're lost. You need to focus on money more. All right. And money's just one of the things. And then we could do this through relationships. We could do this through, the things that we spend our time on or with in life. We could do this through anything that we put intention on, like the stuff that we're interested in, our interests, our hobbies. And then, really whatever it is that we could try to have a goal to achieve or become or grow to, if you will, before we die. Somebody wants to do a certain thing before they die, and another person tells them they're so lost. That's such a pointless thing to do. You need to find yourself and figure out what matters. But then it could be flipped on the exact opposite end as well. We're always going to have people thinking that we're lost, and they might be more lost than us in life. And we're always going to be looking at people thinking they're lost, and we might have no idea what we're doing. But then we always do have this happening, if and where we do. People in life looking at other people in life and seeing that they're not so authentic. Authenticity, just being who you are without trying to be anything else, because you can't anyway. You're only who you are. You can't try to be you. You're already there to try to be what you were before you started to try. It's impossible to become authentic. So, yeah. My point is, there's always going to be people in life, truly. This is real. No matter if you're religious or not. No matter if you're a scientist or not. No matter if you're a computer. I'm not. Hear me out with this. There's always going to be people in life that can look at other people, and maybe only certain people they know well or something, but also people just have this, like, you would call it a sixth sense. People have this feeling, people have this inner knowing that people just, you couldn't deny it, But regardless of how it comes, there's always going to be people in life that can look at other people and be like, man, I can just tell you're not really so happy with what you're doing in life. You just don't really seem like you're living the kind of life that's the most natural for you to personally live. It seems like you're trying to do something that you feel you should, and it's not who you actually are. I just feel like you're kind of lost. Like you've lost yourself. And you might need to find it again. Well, that's weird. Here's the thing. It's weird because we can say it like that. It's not like you're necessarily lost from an idea that you abandoned. Or, lost from a belief that you once had that you just couldn't keep believing in. It's too hard. It was too much. You got too hurt. Or whatever. It never produced what you thought it would. It wasn't actually real, and you just really hoped it was. We can be lost from whatever, or we can have things be lost from our lives. Stuff we used to do or used to try to be that we don't care to do anymore or be anymore, and we just left it back there somewhere and it got lost to time. Okay. Man, it's just life, brother. And so the thing is then, there's this way we could all possibly be lost. I mean, just meaning it is possible for us to be lost from who we are. And let me give you some examples. It's no religion, it's no belief, it's just truth, it's life, it's God. Is that religious though? Maybe? No, it's not. It is. Well, here's the thing, you can figure it out on your own, but you already know this if you do. Here's the thing, you probably already know this. A lot of people in life just seem like they lost who they were. They used to just be so happy, and they lost their happiness along the way. Well, why don't you just go find it? Why don't you just not lose your happiness? Just, put a lock on it and a chain. Tie it to your ankle. Don't let your happiness get lost. Go find it again. Don't get lost. Yeah. Why can't you just be happy again? If you were at one point, why don't you just find where it went and go retrieve it? This is a universal kind of thing. We can say it like this. There's a universal human design. Okay? We have universal problems. They look different. We go through the same things in different ways or different things in the same ways. We're just human beings. You lost your sense of humor. Oh, shoot. That's unfortunate. They make little bells you could tie to it if you find it again. Why'd you lose it? And why don't you just go find it, too? Who's going to tell you how to be found or how to get found or how to find what you lost and maybe you don't realize you did? That's the thing. Maybe you don't even realize you lost your sense of humor. Maybe you don't even remember that person you were when everyone was laughing every time they were around you. And now you haven't said anything funny in like 6 years because you lost a sense of who you were when you got broken up with. You lost your job that you thought you were going to have for the rest of your life, a career. It was something you just thought was part of you. You lost it. As in, you lost the position. You lost your privilege to be able to work there for whatever reason, your fault or not, justly or unjustly. Sometimes we just lose things. And so, what does it mean? Because some things we can't find. You lose a ring. You got a nice ring. It's got emeralds on it. Okay, minerals from the earth. It's green, sure, And you lose your ring in the grass field somewhere. And maybe you'll never find it. Because maybe somebody else finds it before you do. So you lost your ring. It's gone forever. Is there anything in life that we could always certainly find again? If we lost, we can lose anything in life, really, right? What about all your teeth when you're a baby? You get teeth, and then you become a teenager year, between 10 and 20 years old, give or take. You lose all the teeth you had as a child. Most people do. But you're not looking to find them again. You just do whatever you do with them, if you do anything with them at all. And different teeth grow in. You're not trying to find your old teeth again. But what about something you really don't want to lose? If you lose it, you'd probably do just about all you could ever do to find it again, and that's something that can be potentially extremely hard to deal with if you are struggling to find it, and maybe you never do for the rest of your life before you die. So there's some things we can say certainly are lost forever, at least in this life, but maybe you're not religious. Maybe there's nothing after this life. There is, but maybe you're not religious. Yikes. Maybe I'm not either. Maybe you lost your religion. Something you once put so much trust in, but after some time went by, those promises that you got given, if you keep doing this, keep up with these practices, these things will happen in your life. You'll be extremely blessed. Everything will go just fine, as long as you keep believing in this religion. And all of a sudden, your life starts falling apart. And you start losing things. You lose your job, you lose your car, you lose your house, you lose whatever. And after you start losing so much stuff, you just lose the desire to want to believe this religion. Where are you? Well, If you're the one losing all these things, I mean, are you? Or did all these things just, like, lose you? Kind of like maybe you're driving down the highway and you've got some banana peel in your truck that you don't want to have to deal with, and you just, well, whoops, it slipped out the window. I lost it. And now I don't have to try to throw it away somewhere. What if that's how all the things in your life treat you? They're just like, let's throw them away and pretend we don't know what happened. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe your religion lost you on purpose because you weren't doing good enough. Maybe your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend lost you. And you didn't lose someone in your life. Maybe they're just like, I'm going to kind of like tell them to get lost. Oh, shoot. That's a point. And a big one, too. Maybe you didn't lose your job, but your coworkers were sick of you. They talked to the man in charge, the woman in charge, or whatever, the boss. I'm like, this person needs to get lost. And so maybe you're the one that's lost. Maybe it's not that you're losing things out of your life, but maybe things are trying to lose you. Just, the old boot to the tush. Land on the other side of the street, and all of a sudden the fog rolls in, and you don't even know where you are anymore. You got lost, man. Don't get lost. A lot of times it's not your fault, though. A lot of times it seems like life is losing you. Yeah, my life kept going, but it went on without me. And I'm lost. You hear people saying stuff like that sometimes, like, shoot, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I guess my ex-wife now knew better than I did about the path that I needed to take. Or maybe it was her that was lost. Man, who really? Yeah. Right? I mean, like, let's not get too worried about life because maybe you're so lost that you think everything should flow so well. Maybe it should. Well, that means that I'm just lost. Because mine's not flowing well at all. So, what does it mean to not get lost? Because, maybe we don't think there's any kind of way you could get lost in life until you've heard me speak up until this point in episode 211 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Don't Get Lost. And now me, little old Evan Strong, sitting on the floor here, not knowing what I'm doing in my life. I might be just as lost as you didn't know you were. And now we might both be just at a dead-end road that doesn't actually seem to have an end, but we don't know where to go either, so maybe we just wait it out. Kind of just wandering in the wilderness, not knowing if we'll ever know the way, but the way to what? Maybe you don't think there's some like very perfect, specific way for you to go in life, but do you know where you're supposed to go? And if you do, then if it's not working exactly ideal, are you kind of at a loss as to why? What does it mean to be lost? Why do we have to experience this stuff as a human being? And maybe you're not religious. Oh shoot, I sure have a problem with religion. Now, I mean that. Honestly. Legitimately, truthfully, I do. I mean that. I've got a big problem with people getting so attached to religion. But I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you could call it a religion. You can call it whatever you want. Call it a building. Call it a stack of bricks on the side of the road. Call it too many rules that you don't want to follow. Call it too high of an expectation. You can call it whatever you want. What I personally call it is home. I do have a problem with religion. Relying on some rules and some regulations and some guidelines or some other people. Some potentially unknown higher power that might exist, if that's possible, to tell you exactly what to do all the time, just because it's written in some book somewhere. I got a problem with that. Just blindly following some words on a page, I have a problem with that. I do. Me, Evan Strong, the one behind In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 211, titled Don't Get Lost. Oh. I've got a problem with religion. But you know what I also have a problem with is people giving up on this idea of ever being found. Because you can find yourself in a whole bunch of different types of churches. You can find yourself in a whole bunch of different random books of prophecies and scripture and rules and random things to follow, to a T. As exact as you possibly could. Otherwise, maybe something might happen so terrible to you after you die that you might not even know if it does or not, because if there's nothing after this life anyway, then why would I care? To worry about my punishments after I die, if maybe I just die and that's it anyway. I have a big problem with religion. I've got a huge problem with it. Now I got a problem with blind belief. I've even got a problem with believing on things that just seem to have maybe worked at one time. But, what I don't have a problem with is the fact that we're alive. What I mean is, we couldn't even ask the question of, are you lost? Can you be found if you're not even here first? And so I don't have a problem with being able to accept that we're just here. I also don't have any kind of problem with being able to accept that we make our own choices in life. Or that we make the wrong ones sometimes. And I don't have any kind of problem with being able to accept that even if there was no kind of outside voice or influence to tell us anything, we personally know when we've done something wrong. Not trying to live up to anyone else's measurement or metric of what's right, but we know we've done something that makes us feel disgusting. Even if we were never raised with some kind of this is right, this is wrong, being told to us by somebody's pointing finger. I've got a big problem with religion, though. Going into some church somewhere and someone's trying to tell you how it is. Well, how do you get to decide? Oh, they claim it came from God. Well, sure, but how does that help me? Maybe you don't believe in God. Why would you? Over on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we talk about trying to teach a dog something. Trying to get a dog to listen to you. We specialize in the large or purebred standard size poodle. Yes, right. We give information that applies to all dogs, but why would a dog listen to you? Unless you give it a reason to. Why would you believe in God unless you had a reason to? And I'll say it like this too, just because you can use some help with something, even if you don't want to admit you can, that's not a good enough reason to believe that there's a God out there that could do it. Maybe you just need someone who's gone to college. Shoot. The big old C word. College? University! This person's an expert in something that you don't know much about, so yeah, I could use some help. But that doesn't mean you need to believe in anything. I got a problem with blind belief. Personally, me, Evan Strong, I have a problem with that. Why would you believe in something? Why would you believe that? Oh, shoot, man. Where are we going with this? I'm kind of lost now. Thought I was preaching some good news, the gospel, literally translated to English. The gospel of Jesus Christ. The good news of, well, who? Some good prophet at some point? I got a problem with blind belief. There's all sorts of prophets throughout history, but who's to say that they've got the best information out of any of the rest of them? Okay. Are we going to get lost here? Not knowing how to get down to the bottom of how anything in life could actually matter, unless it matters to us personally. And is that our own individual choice only? Because things used to matter to me so much when I was a kid, and now I don't even remember those things at all. Someone will say something to me, and it's like, I used to do that? And they're like, yeah, you spent like 6 months just so focused on that thing. Oh, shoot, I guess that's all lost to the past to me. I don't even remember it. Or maybe I don't even believe what you're saying. You might be making that up. You might have had a dream one time when you thought I was doing something that didn't happen. Just all this blind belief I got a problem with. I have a problem with it. I have a problem with just, listening to some written down words a long time ago. It might have worked for the people who lived then. It might have worked for the people who lived back then. But why would it work for me now? I mean, those people might have actually been lost. And some of those societies throughout history, people had no idea what to even do. A lot of people didn't even know how to survive with simple things. But we're in modern 2026 currently, and going forth, we're in this informational age of just, you can know just about anything ever. You don't need to be lost. Just look it up on the internet. Okay. Okay. Well, shoot. I did. I just, maybe, right? If you do and you find something that just doesn't seem so right to you, but it's uh, claiming to be right, you kind of lost, huh? Are you lost? Don't get lost. I feel like it's a sign on the side of the road, with like a Joker face on it. Like, don't get lost as you're going through this like jungle of hell and you don't know where to go. I mean, everyone's lost. But how? How could? What are you lost from? That's what I'm saying. Who's to say you're lost? But you know you are. When you know you are. I mean, you've been lost. I know you've been lost. I know that I've been lost, and I know I didn't know I was at times that I was. Oh, shoot. Are you lost with what I'm saying? Because what I am saying is, I mean, how are we going to know if anything's real? What, I mean, you can be so lost. You can be in a conversation and you've got 5 people there with you or just next to you, all saying different things about the same thing, and you just kind of lost what you're even talking about. Don't get lost. And all the talk. But how are you going to know then? I mean, who's saying the right things if everyone can claim that they are? And that the other person's not. I mean, just how do we not get lost? I don't want to have to just read some kind of rule book that somebody else wrote on something they didn't really make, but they just try to claim that they, you know? I mean, what about the trails up the mountainside? And you just are someone who likes to blaze a trail up the hill, and you don't care if someone's been there before or not. Maybe just a few deer. You take a game trail, an animal trail, and you go up the side of the mountain following where the animals went, but the human beings tell you not to step off the man-made path or you might get lost. Well, are the animals lost? Can't I go where they went? And who's really going to decide what it means to be lost? How do you not get lost if we don't have like this universal understanding of what it can mean to be found? And how can it be universal? Really? We've all got different approaches to life. To life? to liven up life. Let's say it like that. Because if we didn't, life would be pretty bland and boring. Go to the cereal aisle and you got like 50 different kinds of cereal you could choose from, and you're all lost now. You were on the car on the way to the store, you're walking over there, whatever it is, and you get there thinking you're going to know exactly what you're going to buy, and you walk down the aisle. Now you've got so many choices, you are kind of lost in all the selections. How are you going to find the right one you need to buy? If you're just there for one box of cereal, I mean, there's so many different boxes, or different fruits in the produce department, or whatever. There's so many things. How are you ever going to not be lost with all the choices in life? Are you going to find the right one? How are you going to find the right one? Are you going to find the right one? Is there a way that you can actually determine there being a right one? And is it like a universally right thing that I don't really want to be a part of because I'm different? Or is it an individualistic right thing, and there's maybe one right thing for each person, and what if you mix them up? How do we not get lost? How do we not get lost? I mean, I could sit here and say, don't get lost, and you could say, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. And you already lost the challenge, or the call to action of not getting lost. You already have no idea what's going on, right? You're sitting there and somebody's teaching you something and you don't even know what kind of class you're in. They say, hey, don't. I don't want to lose your attention. And you're like, I don't even know what class I'm sitting in. I'm already lost, I mean, whatever it is in life. Someone's trying to tell you a story and you don't even know what they're talking about to begin with. And they ask you, well, where was I? Someone interrupts someone and they're like, I was telling a story. Where was I? And you're like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about to begin with. So anyway, as you can see, there's a lot of things in life we could discuss, being lost from. Okay. Well, how do we know if we found it? What are we trying to find? What if you're not looking? Is something going to find you? Well, shoot. Let's talk about it like this. A lot of people get so lost in something we could call identity. It's a big word. There's quite a few letters in it, but that's a big word, impact-wise. The identity. Who are you? What's your identity? I'm black. No, you're not. You're Caucasian, Evan Strong. Oh, you're right. Sorry. It was dark. I was looking at, I couldn't see much. The lights were off. My point is, are we identified by, shout out to Martin Luther King Jr., the content of our skin or the color of our character? Oh, wait, no, hold on, stop it. I thought I had it perfect before I said it, but it's the content, the color of our skin or the content of our character. Now maybe you lost because you thought you were a good speaker and you messed it up. Anyway, but the point is, where are we? Are we lost? How do we have an identity? Is it your skin color? And just because you happen to have a certain kind of pigmentation coming from your skin. It's an organ. It's an epidermis. It's called the epidermis, an organ. The body's skin, it covers the whole thing. It makes you waterproof. I didn't decide mine would be this olive color. That's what they call it, right? Caucasian? White. Is it more of like tan? It depends on the season. If it's really sunny, it's darker than other times. I mean, what are we gonna be found if we figure out that we fit into certain things because of the color of our skin? Can we mock some racism, or can we be just intentionally racist? I like that side of it because I didn't choose to be white skinned, Caucasian, kids. Here's the other thing, though. Are we only found if we fit into our culture that we were born into? Well, maybe you're born into a culture that you're the first generation in. Your ancestors, and back farther than that until you couldn't go anymore, which would have to probably be the first human, which is my grandpa too, or grandma. Huh. Anyway, Adam, Eve, maybe? Maybe? I'm not religious, am I? My point is, maybe you're just like a first generation American, but you came from Scandinavia. All your ancestors did. Then how are you ever going to not feel lost? Like you're out of place because you're different. You came from Uganda. You're black. And everyone in the United States of America is white. Except for like the Rodriguez family down the block, right? I'm serious. Like you sometimes what I mean is I'm serious that sometimes you feel so out of place. You feel so lost, but why? Because you were born? How are you ever gonna be found, What does that mean? You gotta go back to your home country? Wait, but this is your home country. Your ancestors were from somewhere else, but you're from here. Anyway, what are we ever going to, be able to be lost from? I mean, my point is, how are you ever going to know anything? I mean, a lot of people grow up with good family, love in the home. Okay. Some people do. Others don't so well, Broken families, unique situations. Um, yeah, mixed families, hardships in ways that people couldn't even understand unless they experienced it personally, and then differing in all different ways because we are different people that shouldn't get lost. No, I mean, not really if you want to be found or if you want to feel like you know what you're doing at all in life, but my point is, a lot of people do. They grow up with some really good love in their home, and then they, have to move away from their family that they grew up with, and now all of a sudden they're lost to an understanding. They don't have one anymore, so they think of what life is, because everything seems so hell-like if they're not in this loving experience that they were in with their family growing up. Now they're so lost. They're like, man, I thought people just loved each other. Now I'm getting treated like absolute, garbage. But then vice versa too. A lot of people grow up in a terrible household, so mistreated. Like actually, truly, like terribly treated growing up. And then learn a lot from it and grow a lot and become mature and have all this wisdom and life experience. Shoot. But it was rough. And all of a sudden they're like around people who are so loving and they're like, I don't understand this. I'm so lost how you guys can treat each other so well. I've just never seen this before. This is very weird. No, it's like I don't know how to find my place in this. I feel so lost, so out of place. I don't like it. How much you guys love me. A lot of people are so lost to why someone would love them at all. I get it, personally. Me, Evan Strong, I understand that feeling. I do, I get it. I get that, A lot of people don't, though. That's the other thing, is a lot of people are so lost to how you could not understand why they love you. Oh, well, I just am not used to it. I've found before that people have kind of looked down on me, and so now I'm lost as to why you think I'm so great. I mean, don't get lost. But how do we not get lost when we're just placed into life in our own individual situations? We've got such different family dynamics, such different cultures, such different lifestyles, such different careers and hobbies. I mean, we can talk about literal like weather climates and seasons. You're so lost because where I grew up, spring was in April, but now over here, spring is in like November, depending on the part of the earth, I mean, you can be so lost in life, but, uh, Can you ever be found? Well, now we've answered the question. I mean, I've said enough in here with all absolute certainty. Truly, I've said enough in here. I am certain that I have given examples of being lost that apply to every human being to ever live on this planet Earth. Something in here for sure, and probably quite a many, and almost everything that I've said in this applies to most everybody. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So now we know we can be lost, but can we be found? How would you be found then? Or what, you find out how lost you were, and that doesn't really help a lot of the time. Not at first, at least. Now you feel even worse. Shoot, I didn't realize I was so lost. Now that I found out that I'm so lost, I feel like I should know even better, and that makes me feel like I know even less, and I just don't know anymore how I'd ever find out what to do. Okay. Shoot. Well, I heard about this religion, no, it was a self-help class, actually. I think that somebody once talked about a morning routine that could jumpstart your day. Oh, you work night shift. Well, yeah, that won't work because you have to do it when the sun comes up, but oh, you live on the other side of the earth, and we're supposed to all do it at the same time, but that excludes you then. Oh. Well, I'm at a loss for how to include you to this supposed universal help that might not. We'll find you something that might help you, maybe. We'll keep looking, but don't get your hopes up. Shoot. So does this mean that we could potentially always be lost forever? Once we realize that we are, when we didn't even know that that was the case, and it's been like 4 years that you forgot who you were. And you are having a hard time finding that person again when they couldn't have really left. I mean, you got the same blood and DNA. Birth certificate still says the same name it did. And it's assigned to you since you were born. But you can't seem to find that kid in you anymore who used to just get some enjoyment out of life and the simple things. Oh, shoot. So yeah, we're all lost. Maybe, at least at sometimes, it's possible for everyone to get lost. Even if you don't think there's any like specific certain place that you need to be found within. Sometimes you don't want people to find you. Sometimes you get lost on purpose. Sometimes people run away. They don't want to be found. Everyone was looking at them their whole life, or for a long time at least, telling them to just get lost, and so they tried to do all that they could to kind of forget who they were. They found something new in life, maybe. Losing themselves along the way. Don't get lost. I mean, how though? How do I not get lost? A lot of people get so lost inside of things. You know, you walk in someone's house and sometimes you gotta tiptoe over things that are longer than your legs. Piles and stacks of stuff they've adopted along the way. Inanimate objects, though. People are so clingy to garbage. You know, hoarders. People who just have so much trash. It's trash to you, and you're at a loss as to how they could ever care about that stuff. But they found exactly what they thought they needed until something else came along. So many options, right? My point is, a lot of people add a lot of things to their life to the point where they're so lost within everything they have. A lot of people, and this is why I give the preface at the beginning. I'm not trying to say anything that you might think I'm saying if you think I'm saying something I'm not saying. I'm going to leave it at that. A lot of people get so many tattoos. They don't even know what they look like anymore. Their own skin is lost somewhere under there through 50 people's artwork, right? Some of it's beautiful artwork, but where'd your skin go? Oh, it's just underneath the ink. No, the ink's inside the skin, essentially, with a tattoo. I'm just saying, you look at someone and you can't really see them because of something on their skin, like tattoos. But that's just one of the things. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, truly, because the thing is, you've got so many logos, maybe, of other people or other things or other people's things and people's inventions of stuff, and you don't know where you went, you know? You don't remember who you were before everyone knows you as that person with the tattoos. I'm not being judgmental. I'm not. I mean, I'm going to say what I say. Sometimes I flat out intentionally say things that are just so, harsh. I'm not trying to like cover myself. If I sound mean, I'm sounding mean. I don't care. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. So let me speak this harsher. I mean it. Hear me out. Don't get caught up on one of these things. I'm talking about a lot of things in this. This is just one thing that you can get lost. You cover yourself in paint. I mean, let's say you do it with some kind of acrylic. You're not actually getting tattoos. It's not about the act of getting a tattoo necessarily. It's just that they're permanent. And so that's basically the rest of your life at that point. But let's say you just paint your whole skin some kind of different thing. Or you paint your whole skin black. You do a reverso Michael Jackson trick. Michael Jackson was somebody who was born black. And he had all this, alteration to his skin pigmentation, and he turned Caucasian or white, essentially. Kind of. It's basically the same thing, though, as me just painting my whole body's skin black. And now I'm lost to how I looked before. You're kind of lost. It's like someone looks around in a crowd now and they don't really see you. You look different. You just don't look how you did before. And you just were born how you were before. Why did you change yourself? But you didn't really change yourself. You're still underneath somewhere and you're lost in that paint. A lot of people wear a lot of logoing. And I'm not opposed to logoing if and where, on clothing. We're a clothing company, In the Image Clothing Company. Our 5-word company name. Truly, we're a clothing company. We really are. Only, really, to allow the body to work. It's just physically placed on us. This literal word of clothing our bodies with something. The way that God clothes the fields with grass, as it says in the Holy Bible. Oh, but I'm not religious, so... Well, it doesn't really matter. You still walk outside and you're walking on the grass that's clothing the dirt beneath it. Okay, but you can lose the dirt underneath the grass. You see nothing but grass. But it's growing from the dirt. Before there was grass, there was dirt. Before you painted your skin black, it was Caucasian, maybe. Right? Or vice versa. Before Michael Jackson got all this alteration to his black skin to turn him to white, he was just, you could call it black, but darker. Maybe he was just in the oven too long on air fry. He's actually like a donut. I don't know. Can we just be silly about it? That's what I'm saying. Like, if not, then hey. You're lost, the simple truths of life. And this is what I'm saying. I'm getting to more with this. We're getting so deep that it's just crazy. I'm serious, That's how I feel sometimes. Like, but it's crazy to be able to discuss things this deep, is what I'm saying. That I feel sometimes. It's awesome. It's a gift from God. But I'm not religious. Watch this. Let's say you've got so much logoing on your body. If it is tattoos, but let's move past that and say clothing. Because that's the thing is, a tattoo is like a permanent thing clothing your skin. We change our clothes every day, every few days, whatever it is. If you're wearing like a shirt, top, or pants on your legs, or shoes on your feet, a hat on your head. But you can have all these logos. And you can get so used to wearing all these logos, and maybe you get attached to certain people's logos, certain people's brands, certain people's artwork within tattoos, is what I'm saying. Like, you just got to look at it as it is. It's just an image. Permanent or impermanent, you can paint it on you, you can put the ink in your skin. You can wear clothing that's the same brand every day, or you can wear different brands all the time, or maybe you don't put anyone else's logo on your body at all. But some people have so much logoing, so much imagery, so much stuff that's secondary to who they are, it's added to them, that they get lost. You don't even know who the person is anymore, because now you're looking around and it's like, oh, that's that person that always wears that brand of shirt. Do you know their name? No, but I know their shirt. Well, but the shirt's just literally clothing the human being. You lost the human inside the clothing. You know the clothing. You don't know who the person is. You don't know who that guy is. It's a girl? That person? That one. Who is it? You know their shirt. You know someone's a person with a lot of tattoos, right? You go through a crowd, it's like, oh, I've seen you before. I have seen your tattoos. Not you, though. I don't know who you are. I don't know your name. I don't know anything about you except that image on your arm. The person gets lost. You lose the person. They're gone. They're not even a thing anymore, really. They're just something to portray something else on top of. It's like a billboard. You know, you forget the billboard's there, you just see all the imagery on it. Like you're walking down the road, you're driving down the street, you look up at the side of your vision, out your peripheral, there's a big sign. And you forget sometimes maybe that sign is placed onto this big old stand that just can hold anything. You can put any kind of sign up there, but you have to have the sign there first to place something onto. You gotta have a human being to place clothing on. You gotta have some skin to put ink into. If you get tattoos. My point is, you can get so lost, inside, underneath, anything else you could place on you. Or add to you. You add so many things to your life. A lot of people know you as that person that drives this car, but they don't know who you are. You're lost. Don't get lost. Do you see what I'm saying with this? Episode 211 of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast. Did I lose you guys yet with my judgmental attitude? I hope so. Because no matter what I hope, well, I don't hope for anything. It's like saying I'm not religious. Truth is truth, and people get lost. You have no idea what this person's name is, but you've seen him on the internet, on all these videos posted to publicly posted videos of this person you know, like basically their whole life, and you don't know their name. The human being themselves is lost in this facade of who they've become. Oh, great. Everyone knows who you aren't. Who are you? I mean, how many people are out there? Well, I don't know. There's like 30 people wearing the same shirt. Do you know their names? No, but that brand seems to just be so popular. I can tell you all about that. Okay. Don't get lost, man. Tattoos are one of those big things. The thing is, I don't have a problem with tattoos. I just have a problem with you. I don't have a problem with black people. But I have a problem not being able to see someone walking up to me when it's so dark outside. Let me give some perspective while I say some things that are questionably terrible. The perspective is we're terrible human beings. We put focus on things that we can attach to our lives more than we put focus on ourselves, and we can get lost underneath it. Within these things, behind them, you know, we become this thing that's just like a canvas for other things to be shown on. But we don't get to be seen. We're lost somewhere underneath. To everyone's view. It's lost to the imagination of who that person really is because they act like this, but I don't think that's really who they are underneath. But I want to say it like this. Okay. The thing with stuff like this, permanent things, is you're going to get people having this idea or image of you, this understanding, this view that's not really who you are. You know, I mean, a lot of times we look at people, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not being judgmental. I mean, regardless, I'm saying what I'm saying. You think what you want. I could just try to cover myself to sound like a good guy, but people get so many piercings in their skin. They're just poking holes in their skin. That's the thing, these things, the reason I'm focusing on stuff like this is because these things are permanent. You put ink in your skin, and even if you can try to remove it later down the road, you're not going to really fully remove it as if it had never been in there. You pierce holes into your skin, and even if you take the things out that are pierced through your skin, even if you heal the holes up that you put in your body, there's going to be scar tissue built up there. That's just how the body heals itself. You're going to be able to tell it was there. And even if it's really hard to, or just about completely goes away, it's still just, it's happened. Nothing really goes away in life. Because even when you lost that ring in the grass field, someone else found it. Just because you didn't, I mean, someone probably did. It didn't go anywhere. Just like you didn't go anywhere underneath all these things you've added onto you along the way. You're still under there. As you were before you had anything to add. You're the same person. Just with more things now. It's like walking into that person's house and you gotta, be a trapeze artist just to get from the front door to the kitchen because they've just got a bunch of random garbage stacked up in their dwelling. The house is still there somewhere underneath, but you could really use a whole landfill. Oh, shoot. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you get tattoos, you get piercings, and I'm being judgmental. Let's say I'm not, but let's say I am, just so you can say I am, because I know you want to say I am. So say it. But then you're judging me and how I judge things. That's when I just want to start cussing so hard about it, bro. I'm such a good Christian. Let me cuss about it. Tell you how good I am while I cuss about it. You get one body. Don't get lost. Because I'm going to go farther with this. It's not just about tattoos, but they will permanently alter your skin. Even if you try to reverse it, I mean, to a degree, it's been done. It's been done. You get piercings, poke holes in your skin. It can heal up, but to a degree, it's been done and it's been done. Now, let me tell you something else. It's just about the exact same type of approach or discussion, but something that maybe doesn't seem quite the same. Before you think I'm more judgmental than I actually am, what if you just eat so much food out of an individual personal choice, and you're getting fat, but you just choose to keep eating so much more food than your body could ever actually do anything properly with? You can get so fat just because of your own life choices, and there's reasons to go into it and whatever. Just like there's reasons to go into people getting tattoos and whatever. There's reasons to go into people piercing their skin and whatever. And then also whatever else we could discuss like this. There's reasons to go into everything. I get it. I get it. And a lot of times we make choices in certain times in our lives that we wouldn't make in other times in our lives. I mean, I get it. I get it. More than you might be able to know that I get it. And that's a good point too. Don't think I'm ignorant. I gave that preface at the beginning of this. Don't think I'm ignorant. Don't think I'm naive. Don't think I just have some kind of view on life that is out of only one certain specific little perspective because I think I'm right about something. Hear me out. If you just start eating so much food that you get so fat, you can't even really move anymore. Who you were at one point is kind of lost underneath all that fat. I'm talking stuff that you have personally caused because of your own individual choices, that you have every cognitive ability to just override if you can put your priorities in the right spot and take care of the only thing that you have, your physical body. All right, hear me correct. I'm not being judgmental. I'm really not. When I jokingly said I was, I'm truly not with these things. But you're going to hear what you're going to hear. Okay? But I only said what I said, so hear me correct. I intentionally say things that sound absolutely terrible at times to kind of try to wake people up a little bit. Hear me correct. If you just keep shoving food in your mouth and eating so much food, you become so fat. I mean, I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds of pounds fat, just because you choose to eat way too much. And we could talk about what reasons go into it, and you're trying to comfort yourself through food or whatever. There's so many different reasons we could talk about it happening. But regardless, what I'm saying is you get lost. And then not only that, this is irreversible stuff, you know? Tattoos, basically irreversible. Piercings, basically irreversible. You get so fat to the point that you stretch your skin to try to fit all that fat within it, and your skin's not going to go back to normal. It's basically irreversible. Now, don't feel all ashamed if certain things happen in your life that are out of your control. Things always happen where they do in life that are out of our control entirely. I'm talking about individual choices. Even if you were peer pressured into something and somebody told you to do something, you didn't want to do it, but you gave into it, don't lose yourself. People are always going to try to peer pressure you into doing whatever. You know, people around you trying to convince you to do something you wouldn't want to be doing, but you gave in and did it because they said you should. Maybe you just weren't strong enough not to. Or maybe you just wanted to please them. Maybe you just wanted people to think you were cooler. Maybe you wanted to impress somebody who you like a lot or whatever it is. Maybe you wanted to get some kind of like, you know, opportunity in life that you thought you couldn't get any other way besides doing this thing that you didn't want to do, but other people were trying to tell you to, you know. Well, just don't lose yourself. You know, people say stuff like, man, they really let themselves go. Yeah. People start to just become something because they lost who they were. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you get tattoos, cool. If you get piercings, cool. If you do stuff like this, and why these things are something to mention. It's not just my opinion. Like, I've just got such a strong view on these things. I want to tell people how terrible it is to do them. You got to hear me correct. These are permanent things to your body. Your body's the only thing you have in this life, man. Damn it. I'm going to start just like unloading, bro. I mean, you think I'm yelling now. Wait until you got to visit the ear doctor, bro. Because I'm just screaming about stuff with all my passion about things that you might not even think matter. It's universal truth. If you get your skin so covered in ink that it permanently changes your body, the point is you lost who you once were because you found something new to assign to your life, to assign to your body. But I'm saying it like this because I want to get perspective that I have an understanding. I'm not naive. There are some absolutely beautiful pieces of artwork that you could have somebody do onto your body. There's some beautiful artists out there. And it could be a privilege to have them do some of their artwork for you personally. Like, I get that. Like, I personally get that. I'm an artist in many different ways. You know, we've got In The Image Clothing Company music. I make music. I'm a photographer. Like, I love art work. And so I'm not being judgmental. I'm not. But I will say this. If you know what you're getting yourself into, and you still just choose to do it, you permanently change the way people view you. It is the truth. I mean, let's say it on a positive end. You're walking down the street, and some random stranger you don't know would never talk to you, except you got this beautiful mural on your arm, this beautiful piece of artwork somebody tattooed onto your arm. And the only reason this random person speaks to you as they pass by is to compliment you on the beautiful artwork that is your tattoo. That's great. It's a positive thing in that case. But I say it like that because I'm not saying this is only on one end of a negative kind of thing. I'm just saying these are permanent things where you can lose who you once were and become something entirely new. Because now that person walked down the street and they only know you because you had that tattoo. And you might not have a problem with that, but they might not know anything about you. They know that artwork. Maybe that's just a famous painting that they saw in a museum sometime. And so every time they see you, they don't think about you. They think about that museum and the painting in it. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. Don't. I'm holding back on how loud I'm saying it because I'm so close to the mic, but I want to scream. Don't lose yourself. But this is why I said earlier, it goes for myself as well. Yeah, I mean, we just don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. A lot of times we make decisions before we ever know what's really happening. And later down the road, we look back on it and kind of, we don't have to regret it, but we look at it like, man, it probably would have been great to not do that, right? Yikes. Or lessons come and everything in life. But a lot of people just get so lost in stuff. I mean, we could talk about it as style. Not even if there's just logoing on clothing, but if you just wear a certain style, we've got all these things, all these like personalities, if you will. You've got gothic people, you've got skateboarders, you've got cowboys, you've got businessmen or women, right? Man or woman for any of these things, but all these things that just because somebody dresses a certain way, they look like that kind of person. But who are they? Because, I mean, some people, they've never ridden a horse in their entire life. All right? Until they're like 35 years old, let's say. Just a random number, part of the way through their life, though. They ride a horse for the first time, and they're like, holy cow. I grew up in the city, but all of a sudden, I want to be a cowboy. And now they start dressing like a cowboy. They start acting like a cowboy. They start speaking like a cowboy. My accent, bro. Yeah. And they lost themselves. Not that they had to be this city person because they grew up in a city, but we've got to be able to see this kind of stuff with context. Where it's not bad to adopt a new way to dress, a new type of thing to put importance and focus on in your life, a new hobby, a new routine. Start to hang out with different kind of people than you used to hang out with. I mean, it's not a bad thing in any kind of way whatsoever to change like this in life, even a completely drastic change. But it's if these things in life cause you to start acting in ways where you feel like you're trying to be something. You got lost. You lost yourself. That's what I mean by this. Well, what I mean by this is a lot of different things. Like I said, I mean, we can discuss this in so many different ways. Just don't get lost. There's so many ways we can get lost in life, and try not to. No matter if you think you need to be found or whatever, you find so many new things in life along the way that you kind of lose who you were. Sometimes, if you're not careful. Because, I mean, you can do any of these things. You can be somebody, and that's what I'm saying, like, you can authentically do any one of these things in life, and then you're just doing it as you. But a lot of times we do certain things in life just because we're trying to be something and we lose who we were. Don't get lost. But this is why it comes back to that question of, all right, well, what if you're not religious? I mean, that's really the thing that keeps people grounded a lot of the time, or it tries to. That's a lot of that's what people try to use to stay grounded. Try to stay rooted in something. Try to not lose themselves. They try to hold on to something else. Wow, what a thing to say. And I mean it. That's the thing to say. That's the thing to say. Because this is my point. You try to lose yourself because maybe you don't like who you were. And so you find something else, and then you can kind of become that. Not really, but you try to, maybe, if. Or you find so many things in life that you lose who you once were, and it just happens on either end, and a lot of times it happens without us even realizing. But This is an emotional one for me, man. This is an all over the place kind of one because I want to sound like I'm pointing fingers, but I also want to deliver messages that help people realize how understood and loved they are. Not necessarily even by me, I'm just saying in general, and that's what I'm saying is people stay grounded, try to, at least, through religion. What else are you going to have in life that you can try to come back to all the time? Because you had like a gosh, I can't not even. I feel like I can't get through this. These are the questions. Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? What is this life really for? I am lost, people say. But they don't want to be part of some kind of religion where they gotta believe they have to be something. That's the point. You get lost in religion. I'm a finger point here. Double time. I'm pointing both of my fingers at the same time here with my passionate speech. I get it. And I'm glad. I'm glad I'm sounding so judgmental. Because somebody's got to say this. The truth is the truth. People lose themselves in religion. People get entirely lost by trying to find out who they should be. You get entirely lost in any kind of sense in life by trying to find out who you could be. Well, that's the thing, people tell you shouldn't get tattoos. So you try to find out if you can be someone who could get a tattoo and look good with it, get away with it, or if it could suit your personality. That really is one of the big ones. Dude, I'm not even judgmental about it. I wasn't even going to talk about this in this episode. I want to be very clear with that. But that's one of the biggest focuses that I'm getting kind of like hung up on. It's hanging me up. Like I need to keep kind of pressing into that a little bit. You're not religious, let's say. The religion might say your body's a temple. But you say your body's a canvas and you do whatever you want with it. At 20 years old, and you get to be 40 years old and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know about this permanent piece of artwork I put on my body. There's just not much in life that's really that permanent like that. That's why tattoos are that big of a thing. No matter who thinks they're right or wrong, or who's judgmental about them, or if there's something terrible about some evil thing, or they're a beautiful depiction of somebody who's a great person. Buddha, Gandhi, Jesus Christ himself. That's the thing. There's some beautiful tattoos of God. Or there's some beautiful tattoos about God. There's some scripture verses in the tattoo. And I'm not even religious, let's say, if we're saying that. But regardless, your body's a temple. How do I get to say that to who? How do I get to say that to you? How do I get to say that to anyone? How do I get to say that about myself? I didn't even decide to be born. What if I wanted to be black? Go out there and get some white tattoos. They say the white hurts worse. I've heard that. I've watched people get tattoos. It's interesting. I'm not being judgmental. Don't believe me, though. I'm just saying. You can get so lost in trying to become something. So don't. But how do you not get lost? I'm about to just cry. How do you not get lost? With everything out there in life to choose from, to do, to add to you, to be a part of, to join for a while, or maybe for the rest of your life. What if you joined the wrong thing for the rest of your life? Now who's to blame? Or who's to say that you chose the wrong thing? Before anyone could even be to blame anyway. Holy cow, don't get lost. How do you get found? Who's going to find you? What if you don't want them to? mean, what if you don't care? What if you want to be a drifter? What if you want to be someone who just is always different and always changing, and you just kind of feel like maybe you are here to become something different all the time, and you can't even lose who you were because the only thing you can lose is all the baggage you picked up along the way. Possibly. If. Maybe. I mean, how do you not get lost if there's not just one you to be found? I mean, that's the thing. We change so much. Life's always changing, even if you don't want to. How do you just stay somewhere where you can say you're found? If you have found so many different things, you could just go get lost in. Should I cut it? Should I just not give you an answer? Because how am I going to get to decide for you? I'm the one being so judgmental about what I think everyone else should do. Do you see what I mean? Or what everyone else should not do? I'm going to just, keep talking for as long as I do because this is just truth. What I'm saying is the truth is, even if you're not religious, there's always a you under there to come back to. You can always find out where you were before you got to where you are. Or you can find out that you were somewhere when maybe you forgot. I don't feel comfortable with this one, man. How do you get found? How does it feel to find out that you're so far gone when you were oblivious to it? Oh, shoot. I don't want to keep talking. Oh, I'm extremely uncomfortable with this. Just to let you know. But how do you... I don't want to say it. I don't want to speak. I don't want to keep going. That's just genuine, authentic. I don't want to. I don't feel right about speaking stuff that... Okay, hear me out, would you? I don't like this. At all. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like knowing that I'm saying the same things to other people that I need to hear. And I don't like, not really knowing how to feel like it's okay for me to say stuff as if I know better. Man, can I just... I don't know what to do. I don't want to finish this. I genuinely don't. I've never been to this point like this in an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast until this one. I've never. This is the 211th episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I've never felt quite like this. Well, I don't even care to finish it. I don't even care. I can't even sit comfortably. I'm physically uncomfortable. I'm emotionally and spiritually uncomfortable. Oh, but I'm not religious. I'm not religious. Maybe I'm not spiritual. What does all this mean? Holy cow, don't get lost. How are you going to get back home? Where'd you come from, really? Do you have any place that you could ever possibly belong? And if you do, did you start there? What if you're born in a terrible place and people try to tell you not to get lost? Don't go out there and get lost in all the good things in life when you're born in hell. A lot of people are born in absolute hell. True hell on earth. How can I sit here and try to tell someone not to go out there and get lost? When that sounds like, don't go out there and do anything different than when you were started life. You started life in a terrible place, though. Why isn't it okay to go out there and find a good place? Lose the old terrible one and find a good new one. That's what I'm saying. How the hell are we going to be able to be found? What does that mean? You find yourself in all sorts of places in life. What does that mean? What's that ever going to mean? How's that ever going to mean anything to you? How is somebody ever going to tell you that you have been found and you're like, oh, great, I didn't know I was lost. Thanks for deciding my life for me. How the hell are we going to be found? Who decides that? Oh, you're not religious. You don't believe in anything. Okay, well, shoot. Now what? Well, I'm going to tell you one thing that will change your understanding on something we could call a religion. Ah, shoot. Authenticity, if we're just talking about the definition of the word, something that's authentic, even, not only discussing a human being, but just something that's authentically what it is something that's just unaltered. Something before it could be something else. It's authentic. It's what it is. That's what it is what it is. Take rocks out of the ground and it's just an authentic looking rock because this is how it was when I found it in the earth. Broke it off a wall inside of a cave. You call it a mine full of minerals, of ore. This is just a rock. It's awesome. It's authentically just what it is. But you could heat it up and melt it down and refine it. Maybe we could call it gold. But it's not how it authentically looked. It was just a rock in the ground before. And now it's like this shiny, buffed, smooth ring on your finger. Call it gold. It's just, it was just a rock, though. So authenticity, all human being discussion aside, just something ever that exists, matter that cannot be created or destroyed that the human being's made out of, it's just everything's authentic until you change it. It's just a literal explanation of something that's unchanged. It's authentic. I feel like I'm going to pass out, bro. Everyone needs to hear this. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what I believe. I don't really believe in anything. I mean that. But ironically, not believing in anything means that you could believe in everything, because it's the same thing on either end, really. It's either all what it is or nothing is. But there's always authenticity to everything that exists, because before you ever alter anything, it's just authentically what it is. There's no possible dispute to that. That's just truth. That's just literal wording. That's just describing something as it is. God, listen to me. Are you listening to me? Almost 2 hours into this, are you listening to me? I can understand if you're not. That's kind of why I'm asking, because uh, this will change your life. Let's say there's no religion to try to become a part of. There's no belief to adopt. There's nothing out there to try to find new. But, we've all adopted things along the way. We've all become something to a degree that's different in a way than we were as a baby. A baby. A baby, a small human being, an infant child. Call me crazy. Throw me in the loony bin. But we can find who we authentically were before we had the opportunity to get lost if we go back to the start. You can find what a gold ring authentically was before it had the opportunity to be altered if you go back to the start. Before it was ever altered, before it was even found, it had to be there to be found. Are you hearing me? I yell loud enough, you'd probably be able to if you've got some kind of ability to hear anything, just about at all. I mean, anyway, I'm just, being so real about this because you are who you are before you could ever change. Nothing can change to something unless it was already something to change from. Literal wording, truth, in the Image Clothing Company podcast, in the Image Clothing Company in general, blunt, bold, raw, and real. This is how we try to do everything. It's just as it is, undisputed truth that we don't get to decide or change. Just like you didn't get to decide or change that you were a baby when you were one. You grew, and it just happened, and you didn't get to say no. Okay. So don't get lost from what you were, trying to find what you could be. Because along the way in life, we could try to find out whatever we want. But if you never learned anything else, you already are a human being, and there you go. You're already who you are. I'm going to say it like this. Let's say you're not religious. Let's say there's no religion to have. Who doesn't like babies? Some people don't. But when I say some people don't, I mean those people that don't like babies, they just don't like the crying, or they're maybe afraid of babies because they don't know how to stop that sound they make when they cry, or they don't want to change the diapers, or whatever. They don't like the feeling of responsibility, and so they say they don't like babies, but really they don't want to have to be in charge. Who doesn't like babies? Really? I mean, most everybody loves babies, is my point. Babies are just who they are. Babies haven't found anything yet. But they haven't had an opportunity to get lost either. Alright, okay, alright, okay. Fine, yeah. Can we all get on board with that? If not, can you at least hear it out? I mean, if a baby never changed from being a baby, it wouldn't have to find out who it was. Because it never got lost from just what it was. It was a baby. There it is. That's why I was so caught up on the tattoos. If you look at someone with tattoos, you maybe can't find out who they really are because, on one arm they've got like a flaming skull, and on the other arm they've got an angel. drawn on them with permanent ink. Your parents tell you not to play with permanent markers. Then you go pay thousands of dollars to have somebody draw on you as an adult. I'm not trying to, do anything I'm not trying to do, but I'm going to speak how I'm going to speak. So listen to me if you would. This will change your life. You get lost in who is this person then? Along the way, they've adopted all these different kind of things, these different portrayals of who they are, these imageries and these things and these representations of other stuff that they've kind of adopted along the way, but before they could, they had to be there. Now they're kind of lost underneath. I think I could get down to the bottom of who that person is, we say to some people. I could maybe find that person, who they really are. If I ask some real deep, hard-hitting, rooting questions to the soul center of that person, I could probably find out who they are. We could probably find that person down inside all their traumas. Oh, what? You're adding another thing on top of this now? You can have traumas in life to change your behaviors, your coping mechanisms, your avoidance strategies, fight or flight responses, or something else. Maybe you flee away from the situation instead. Fight, flight, flee, freeze. Fierce words. I say a lot of harsh things. I know, I get it. Listen, though, because anyone can be misunderstood because they're kind of lost underneath everything else that's added on top of who they once were. As a baby, you're a baby. You got no clothes on a baby till you put clothes on a baby. You look at the baby, you see the baby. You clothe the baby, and all of a sudden now you can tell the baby's a boy. A lot of the time because of the color of it. You put a blue thing on a baby, it's probably a boy. Probably. Traditionally, usually, right? Okay. Put a pink thing on a baby, and maybe it's a girl. Clothing. You clothe the baby to kind of give an idea of what it is. But before you did that, you can find the truth that baby was already there. Oh, shoot. That's simple enough for me to understand, even if I'm not religious. Why is he so caught up on religion? Well, I just like to make things clear. So, let's discuss things in such depth you couldn't possibly dispute the truth of it. Right, that's what we do here under In The Image Clothing Company. Where we do, if we do, but that's the goal on all four sides. This is the thing. Just discussing things as they are. The point is truth. Trying to get to truth, even if we're coming at it through science, because I'm not religious. Neither is God. The baby's a baby. Before you could lose who the baby was and everything else that you could add on to the baby. We add so many things to us in life. We get lost. We add ideas about who we are because of what other people say. About who we are, who we should be. Or who we were that we changed from and we didn't even think we changed. Maybe you didn't, but somebody else perceived you did. Oh my gosh, where are we in all this? Don't get lost. But how are you going to not get lost? This is what I'm saying. How are we not going to get lost in all of this? Maybe there's nothing you're trying to find. But how do you not get lost from who you just were? Because you just were something. You're a baby, and you're just a baby. There's no impressions on a baby till there's impressions on a baby. People who rescue wild animals. Let's talk about this truth. Let's not even talk about human beings right now, but say this in the same way so you can see what I'm really saying. There's no opinion to this. Look at animals. A baby wild animal gets rescued by human beings because its mother dies. A bird has its mother get hit by a car. And the baby bird gets found in a nest. It can't take care of itself and raise itself, though. It'll die. So human beings rescue the baby bird and they raise it in captivity under human beings' care. They don't want the baby bird to have this impression, a visual impression of a human being, because baby birds are raised by adult birds. So baby birds being raised by adult human beings will cause this baby bird to not really know who it is anymore. It'll lose its natural baby bird understanding of life and start to maybe think it's a baby human being. This is true. So human beings who rescue baby wild animals that need help, I mean, and it's natural for the parents of animals to die, and then the babies just to die as well. But when it's human being caused, like through our machinery, cars or boats killing animals accidentally, a lot of times we step in and intervene because these things, it's not natural selection at that point. We've made these unnatural machines that get in the way of natural life. And this happens all the time. And so that's when it's okay to intervene. Otherwise, you don't need to. I mean, animals die, people die of natural causes. That's fine. But when people are rescuing animals, they will wear masks or they'll blind the animal. Like blindfold it is what I mean. Like they'll put something over the animal's eyes, or if it's like a baby bird they've rescued, seriously, don't think I'm just making something up because it could sound weird if you don't understand this, but this also might sound very enlightening, if you will, as in like eye-opening, ironically, as we're talking about blinding baby animals. Okay. Wow. I love this so much. I really genuinely do. But yeah, people will wear like a mask that looks like an adult bird, or the same type of bird that the baby bird is. So as the baby bird grows up, it won't forget who it was. And it'll go out there into the natural environment that it would have just been in before it could have, found these humans, if you will. And it'll have a fairly normal life, potentially. I mean, that's the goal, and it can happen. And it does. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Man, all over the place with this one. I'm telling you, this is huge. The information in this, because the animal could get so lost seeing these human beings raising it when it's a baby bird, and it's not a human being, it's a baby bird, but it found itself in a situation in life where it got lost from where it once was and found something new. But no matter what, the baby bird's still a baby bird, even if it finds that it's being raised by human beings and it might think that it's one of them. In life, we're all just babies at first. No impressions on us. But we see things along the way in life. Whether you visually see things or you just have experiences that teach you things. Like that baby bird, though. I mean, the mother bird would give that bird all the life lessons it needs on how to be an adult bird. But raised by human beings who don't live the same as birds do, it's not going to know how to navigate life how it normally would if it didn't have this alteration throughout its life and kind of get lost from its normal course. So the human beings raising this baby bird try to keep it on its normal course that it would have been on if it didn't get, lost, in a sense. Or so it doesn't get lost is the point. I mean, that's the point. You don't want the baby bird getting lost, thinking it can be a human being, because it just can't. It cannot. It's a baby bird. Can't be a human being. It cannot. It will not walk the same as a human being and live the same kind of lifestyle. It will not. It will be impossible for it to do the exact same thing human beings do. Because it was born and originally, authentically, a baby bird. Hear me correct. Because human beings, we get born, and we're just who we are, authentically, and we can only really be who we are. But as we go through life, we can start to think that we're other things, or that we could be other things, or become something different than what we are, although we'll never actually be anything different than we are. You just won't feel right. A baby bird trying to live a human being life, even if it becomes an adult bird, it's just not going to feel right trying to be a human being. But any human being who grows up and just tries to be like someone else who's not them, you just can't be that. You're never going to feel right. Because it's just impossible for you to be something you're not. No, I mean, you can be a good actor, but you'll never be authentic. The literal word. You pull some rock out of the mountainside, okay, in a cave, and let's say it's ore that can become gold that's refined, meaning it's golden ore that you can refine to be this nice shiny gold, but it just came from what it authentically looked like. There's just this more rock looking ore of gold in the cave in the mountainside. But the gold can never become silver, which is a different type of ore. It just can't. It's authentically gold. It can't become silver. Silver is authentically silver. It can't become gold. A baby bird's authentically a bird. It can't become a human being. And you are authentically who you were as a baby, and you can't authentically become anything else. You're just who you are. So the reason why I focus so much on putting the religion aside is because as good of intentions as are there behind a lot of religions, a lot of times they're trying to get us to be something. As good of intentions as you could have as a human being raising this wild baby bird that you rescued, it would die without help from somebody who knows better than it does just because it doesn't have that much experience in life yet to be able to take care of itself. You being a human being, trying to raise a baby bird to turn it into what you think it should be because you want it to be a human being because you think it's so good to be one or something, that baby bird is never going to feel right. If you just try to become part of some kind of religion because they say they've got some kind of good idea of what you could do in life, if it tries to make you become something that's not just you authentically, you're never going to feel okay. At all. You're never going to feel right. You're never going to feel like you fit into your own being. You're going to feel like you're lying to yourself and everyone else and God, even if you're not religious. You're lying to authenticity. You're lying to the truth of who you really are if you're not being who you really are. Another name for God is the truth. The same as a baby, a teenager, and an adult, if you will. We say God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Well, I'm the same kid I was when I was about 1.5 pounds. I weighed more than that when I was born. As a baby, you're like 8 pounds, 10 pounds or whatever. You're the same human being. No matter if you're full grown or still just that little infant child. So, what does it mean to be found? It means to find out who you were before you could be something else. I mean, that's the thing, is like a baby bird. What does it mean for this baby bird to be found? I'll tell you this, it's not when it was rescued by the human beings. But also, the baby bird didn't necessarily get lost when it was rescued by the human beings. It lost its old life for a little while. When we say don't get lost, really it's try to do all you can not to, but if and when you do get lost, really more when than if, just make sure you find yourself again. Like a baby bird being rescued by human beings, the baby bird didn't get lost. The only time the baby bird would get lost is if it tried to become a human being and lost its natural, authentic bird nature. But the baby bird, once it gets raised by the human beings to be a bird, though, gets released back out into the wild, and it finds who it always was. And what it always was is one of these birds out here. It went through a process along the way and got raised by some human beings, but it found out in the end it was always just the same thing it was at the beginning. A bird. Okay. I mean, no matter what you find along the way, you can lose who you were until you find that again. So when we talk about God finding his lost sheep, you don't have to be religious. The parable of the 99 sheep that never got lost, and the one sheep that got so lost. I'm going to tell you something real quick. Right as I said that, it was 2:11. It's been 2 hours, 11 minutes, says this thing. This is episode 211 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Don't Get Lost. That's quite the synchronicity. I'm not religious. Please don't push it on me, but I'd like to be authentic. See, we call it authenticity. In the Image Clothing Company music. It's one of our fours. Listen to this, though. God having 99 sheep that never left, never got lost, but then having one sheep that did get lost, he will leave the 99 sheep just there to do their thing and put more focus on one sheep that got lost with maybe the potential to lose the other 99. Because he needed to go find that one single sheep, the only one he had lost at the time. Well, really the only one that got lost. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Don't get lost. But if you do, you can be found. Even if you're not religious. I just like to put the focus on you don't have to have some idea of being religious or being assigned to some religion. But if you want an understanding on life, oh, well, you had one when you were a baby. You're looking around and everything was crazy. Well, it still is. But along the way, we get lost in the craziness and think that it's normal. But if we can find that before we could ever have any kind of opinion, a perception, a belief on what life is, there was us as a little baby that was just here. And that little baby grows up. No matter what it gets into along the way, that could potentially get it lost from the understanding of who it was at the beginning. It's always still who it was at the beginning. And we can find that again. So when we talk about being found by God, or when we talk about finding God, when we talk about God leaving the 99 out of his 100 sheep to go find the one that went astray, well, it's just coming back to who you were. That's what I mean, is that's what truth is who you truly are. That's what authenticity is who you authentically are. We could have these ideas of what we should believe that we could become or just should be. But before there's any should or could or anything, there's you to be able to learn anything else. You have to be there first. And so, if we separate this idea of religion, like I said earlier, can we talk about this idea of religion? and put that on one side, separating it from the truth of God. Well, the truth of God is, He made you and you were born. I mean, you spend 9 months inside of a woman's abdomen, growing, and all of a sudden you just pop out, breathing and living as a human being. How does that happen? Well, let's find out. By taking it back to basics, it only does what it does. It only happens how it happens. No matter how lost we could be on how it occurs, we can find out how it really does, because it does. I'm a human being. I'm a walking mechanical machine of flesh and bone and blood. My body breathes and eats and speaks and stands and sits and sleeps and, does all these things, and so much of it just by itself without me even realizing it. So can we separate this religious idea of how we could get to this almighty being in the sky somewhere that might be there and might not, with just the truth of, holy heavens, this body just grew out of basically nothing? And can we just not get lost through all the ideas and opinions and beliefs and perceptions on what it could mean to try to become something in life, and just find the truth that you're a human being? I mean, holy Hannah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, no matter how judgmental I sound or whatever, it's like, well, the thing is, anything you add to your life that we could judge that you have added to your life, that's a secondary thing to you. You were just a baby at one point. You want truth? The truth is, your baby's dead. Some people say. To an expecting new mother and father. The baby is born, but it's not alive. That happens. But also, babies get born. And no matter if the parents can even accept it or believe it, the mom might be asking, is this really my child? 9 months of pregnancy, and this is really my child. And the doctor can tell her, or the person who delivered the baby, this truly is your child. And from there we can get lost. With anything else we try to add to who we were when we started this whole journey. But at the end of the journey, we're still the same person we were when we started. No matter how much we've grown along the way, or how much we've gotten lost along the way, we're still literally, physically, biologically the same human being. And so once we can find this, we can start to see people the way that a mother and father look at their newborn baby that they were so excited to have. Because that's who you are. Just at a later stage of development, at a later stage in life. And I mean, people come into this world in all sorts of different ways. Maybe people's parents weren't, so ecstatic for all the responsibility to be able to have a child to take care of. Maybe they, had a little bit of an expectation that was different than what ended up happening. That's why I said earlier, who doesn't like babies? just about everyone out there really likes babies. You know, one of the big things that so many people love about babies is that they're authentic. If a baby's sad, they'll cry. If a baby's happy, they'll laugh. If a baby needs to use the bathroom, even if they're laying on your high-end carpet, they'll just go right there. That's funny. That's funny. So don't get lost trying to become something when as a baby you didn't even know what that meant. Throughout the journey along the way, you could try to become whatever you could possibly dream up or see or be introduced to. But before any of that, there's you. It has to be you for you to become something else. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. You can't just make a new you out of nothing. You take who you are and you can change it and lose who you were. But it's just losing an understanding of who you were. You can't get fully lost. You can't leave yourself. It doesn't work. I mean, literal wording, truth, factual, tangible matter, truth. I mean, you cannot lose yourself, like physically, like all of a sudden you're just gone from you. It doesn't work. It's impossible. That's impossible. You know, and no matter what, I mean, you've still just got the same DNA. You've got the same inner wiring in all of your circuits of your body, the electrical system of your brain. I mean, but we can get real about it. You know, your genetics and your biological, physiological makeup of you as a human being, your genetic coding. I mean, we can get really tangibly truth kind of real with this. You cannot get fully lost. It's impossible. But we can kind of get lost a little bit along the way. And we established that earlier, the understanding of, sure, we can all get lost even if you don't think you can. I said enough things in here that you couldn't possibly dispute that being something that's a universal kind of thing for every human being to ever live. There's a possibility to get lost even if you didn't think you started somewhere that was somewhere you could call found to begin with. But then to answer the second part of this question, if you will, what does it mean to be found? Can you be found? Even if you're not religious, can you be labeled as one of God's sheep that he'll leave the other 99 to come find? Well, it depends on how you want to look at it. Because we don't think we're worthy of just about anything, usually, as human beings. It's this, like, self-loathing we have. This self-loathing. It's this self-punishment. It's this expectation that's greater than anyone else could have about us, that's from us to us. Wow. Right? I mean, this is a general human being kind of trait, characteristic, and it's varying in how prominent that shows itself within human being to human being, being the individuals that we are. Man, am I judgmental or what? Depends on what episode you're listening to. Bro, it depends, man. How good I'm feeling that day. A lot of times we just project ourselves on other people, judging them for doing things that we just didn't want to do, but we got so lost and did it anyway that we couldn't find out how to correct our own behavior, so we try to correct other people's instead, seeing if we could find a solution in someone else that's not us, so we didn't have to do the inner work on our own selves to find something we thought might have been permanently lost. And we don't want to have to believe that maybe it's possible to find it under there somewhere. I mean, do you want deep? I'll get deep with you, bro. I'm like an ocean. I mean it. Seriously. Just to be clear, I mean it. Yes, I am extremely deep with life. I've got a deep understanding. But you kind of got to hear me out, because sometimes I sound like I'm just throwing out racial slurs because of whatever reason. Or whatever, Calling people fat. Yeah. But why? My point is, we've now answered the second part of this question. Firstly, can you get lost? Yeah. But then could you be found? Well, yes. Because what you can find is the joy you had as a child that you didn't hold back. That now maybe you're a little bit nervous for people to see because you're this tough guy thug. No one could see me laughing because I never break character, So don't test me, bro. Right. And whatever. But you can find out who you were as a baby. You can find it. You can find it because it's still there. Because it's still you. Because you're just at a different stage of the same thing. It's like a tree. You can always still find the seed in the tree somewhere that it grew from. Essentially, meaning it's the same thing. It's just bigger now. You're still just the same baby you were. You're just bigger now. You can find out what life was like as a baby. Even if you lost your connection with it throughout your journey along the way up until now, maybe. So the point is, the goal is to not get lost from this authentic childlike nature. And I'll tell you what, I'm not religious. I'm not really religious. I'm not religious personally in ways. I'm not religious. But God, who's that? Well, Jesus Christ actually is the one who said it in Scripture, says you can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless you humble yourself and be like a little child. Childlike attributes, childlike love, sharing is caring, if you will. Just being kind and like divvying out what you have to others that may not, What is it about multiplying talents? You have something and you give it to someone else and you end up with more because you did. It's the parable of the talents. This man who is God, even though I'm not religious, I'll tell you that, he said that. His name's Jesus Christ, the parable of the talents. It's actually a form of currency back in the day, but anyway, you can lose what it was like to be a child, but then you can also find how to be like that again. Children just find the joy in the simplest little things in life. It doesn't take much to make a kid happy. You hand a baby a what? Something that's safe for them. But, just the simplest little thing, like you just give a baby a blanket and it makes their whole day, But along the way throughout our lives, we can lose that excitement. I mean, you give a baby just the simplest little toy, and their excitement is something that you can look at. They just don't even know what to do with themselves. And then along the way through life, we can really get lost from that simplicity, and we could get everything we ever wanted and just still feel miserable and not know how to find that simple contentment and joy and excitement and love and happiness and fulfillment that babies, as simple as they are, find in something that is just it seems pointless to us as adults a lot of the time. But you can find that. You can find that. Not by going to some kind of place to find it, not some religion, but by going inside to the root you. Back to when everything was what it was, in the beginning, if you will. Even if you won't, that's when it was. In the beginning of your life. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth and all things that are in them. He sat back and said, "It is good." After a little bit of time went by, God saw that human beings started to become so sinful and devilish and evil by nature. He flooded the entire earth to try to get back to that simplicity.